start with the news in Bangladesh. This evening, entering a new phase. Its Prime Minister has fled the country. Sheikh Hasina resigned before heading straight to Dhaka airport. She left behind her an angry mob of protesters storming her official residence. Sheikh Hasina ruled Bangladesh since 2009. The protests began against corruption on the awarding of key jobs across the country. Cronyism became an endemic problem. Many of the demonstrators were highly qualified people who had no access to improving themselves in the workplace. Now, the next step appears to be a military interim government, while the US and the UK are leading calls for democratic transition.
An appeal for calm from the street. The army chief in Bangladesh spoke to the nation in a televised address. General Wakar-uz-Zaman announced an interim government would be formed while confirming reports Sheikh Hasina had resigned.
The Honourable Prime Minister has resigned. Now we will form an interim government and continue our work to lead the country. Through the interim government, all the functioning of the country will take place.
Out on the streets of the capital, Dhaka, jubilant crowds waved flags and took pictures with army personnel. This after the Prime Minister's residence was stormed after crowds grew in numbers, overwhelming security. Demonstrators removed articles of furniture and danced in celebration. The latest development out of Bangladesh caps weeks of unrest. Student-led demonstrations kicked off last month over a controversial quota system on over half of government jobs reserved for certain groups, including descendants of freedom fighters. But that quickly spiraled into a campaign to oust the Prime Minister. A heavy-handed crackdown under Sheikh Hasina's watch resulted in nearly 300 people killed and the eventual downfall of the Prime Minister herself.
This is not just the end of the tyrant Sheikh Hasina. With this, we put an end to the mafia state that she has created.
Everyone is happy, everyone is cheerful, everyone is celebrating.
On Monday, Sheikh Hasina boarded a helicopter for neighboring India. The 76-year-old fleeing Bangladesh a day after nearly 100 people were killed, the bloodiest day since the recent unrest began.
Let's get the first of our reactions to the situation in Bangladesh, and we welcome to the studio Muhammad Yunus. Muhammad Yunus is a Nobel Peace Prize winner of 2006. The man is referred to as the people's banker because he invented microfinance. Thank you, sir, for joining us here. It's a pleasure to have you in, and I imagine there are plenty of things going on in your mind right now about what's happening in your home country. What's your take on the situation?
This is a day of great celebration for us. We had the independence from Pakistan on 16th of December 1971. We celebrated it. It's a big job, rejoicing for everybody that we are free, we're independent, and so on. So there was a liberation day. Today, we feel like the second liberation day. We are free from all the oppression, all the attack that we had, all the mismanagement, all the corruption. So everybody now on the street, millions and millions of young people on the street, everywhere in Bangladesh. It's not Dhaka city, it's not a Dhaka city-based eruption, it's a complete country.
This is something right across the country?
Right across the country, every single town, every single
And
place.
this comes from, is it just Sheikh Hasina's rule, or is there a whole structure behind her that's created the problem?
Sheikh Hasina is the key to the whole problem. She made it so that you are refused to give people right to vote. She had fake election, one after another. Bangladesh has 170 million people. 2/3 of the population are young people. And they never had a chance to go to election booth to cast their vote. These are the young people who want to do things. And full of energy, full of creative power. They're connected with the rest of the world because of the communication technology today. But they cannot select their representative in the parliament. They cannot participate in the elective process because there's no election. Nothing happens. So a one-person rule. It's a one-person rule, one party, kind of policies they pursue, and you have to abide by it. You follow that. If you deviate a little bit, you are in big, serious trouble.
So one wonders how this has been allowed to continue, but the big upshot, of course, was the protests which began just a few weeks ago about issues regarding allocation of jobs. That's how it was first reported. But then, as you delved a bit deeper, clearly this aspect of cronyism, favoritism, and allocation of jobs by who you know, not what you know, became really the focus of what was going on. So people looking to really change that situation.
This started with a very simple proposition, like what you said. They are sufferers. 56% of the jobs are under quota system. So your merit, your work.
A quota system. So that is basically it's like a family
a particular
thing or
group of people will get these
okay.
jobs and so on. So 56% is reserved for them. So there's very little left for everybody else who have worked hard, but they don't fall into that quota, the reserved seats for them. So they rebuilt.
So the demonstrators that we've been seeing very often, we're looking at people who are highly qualified.
Sure,
people who,
absolutely. Yeah,
in a normal society, in a democracy, wouldn't be out on the streets.
Absolutely. These are the people who will tomorrow become the civil service person, the civil servants. They will be running the country. They are mature now, about to appear in the exam, but they see their seats are blocked. They cannot go because the amount kept for them is a very limited one.
Interim government could be a military government. The UK, the US is calling for democratic transition. That's something they can call for from afar. Were they calling for that 9 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't know. Maybe they're just happy that things continued as they were. But with what happens next, you must have concerns about
the celebrations are going on.
Sure.
People are going through that. But at the same time, we need a government because the government collapsed. It doesn't exist anymore. Hasina has left the country. So how does it happen? We have interim government announced right now. The concept of interim government who will be responsible for holding election because we didn't have an election for many years now. So for the first time, it will be an election, fair, transparent election, so that everybody can vote and decide what kind of people they want to send to the government, what kind of people they want to the parliament. This is their decision. That decision, they couldn't exercise that power to make choices for them. So this will be a big opening. And then down the things, local governments and everything, same way. The people will have a chance to elect their own representatives.
So this is the chance now for Bangladesh to actually construct a democratic future.
Yes, we want to have a pure democratic system where nobody can interfere with our right to vote, right to speak, right to rule of law.
Muhammad Yunus, I see you as a possible leader. I don't know whether you have any ambitions along those lines.
No, I don't have that ambition because I'm dedicated to the work that I do. I hopefully continue, but I was restricted by the Hasina regime. I was accused of many things, funny things that she can come up with. So I'm running from one court to the other court, fighting those false cases.
And that was one of the tactics used by the old regime.
Always.
To use the legal system to stymie people's ambitions.
Exactly.
That sounds like a terrible system to have to live through.
Terrible. That's why the rejoices are coming out everywhere. Everybody is happy that finally we're free. And corruption at every stage. Massive corruption. Corruption by the head of the army, corruption by the head of police, corruption by every single institution. Even the office boy of an office makes millions of dollars by corruption, corrupt practices and so on. Nothing gets done. So simply say, well, we'll take care of it. We'll find a way.
Can I ask you a question, Mohammed, about the things that are made in Bangladesh? Because if you look at any sort of fast fashion clothing line, you'll often see made in Bangladesh.
That's right, yeah.
Has there been some kind of complicity by the West in what has been going on? Not asking too many questions about what happens in Bangladesh. Oh, as long as we get the products, we don't really mind. We'll let that go.
Yes, we are feeling sorry for that, but some of the things that they pay attention to the environmental issues, attention to labor rights and so on. But that's only a small segment of the population.
It's a bigger problem behind that, which was
participation of the people.
And the key, as you said, was Sheikh Hasina. What should happen to her right now, do you think? We hear
she left the country.
We hear she's fleeing.
She's fleeing. Don't know where she end up with. Right now she is in Delhi, we are told. But from there, she's looking for a place where to go.
We were told it could be London. We're told it could be somewhere in the United States.
Bangladeshi people want her to be in Bangladesh so that she can be tried for all the offences she has committed.
Because that was the question I was coming to. You feel she should come back to Bangladesh and face justice? That's part of the process.
Yeah, that's right.
What about her main enablers, her main helpers within Bangladeshi society? Surely are they still there?
They're still there. Many of them, the ministers and others, flee from the country. The supporters hiding, because they know they are complicit with the Prime Minister and the group that run the country. So they will be trying to escape from the country to save themselves. So this is the kind of situation which we'll go through.
What do you think the future holds for Bangladesh? Clearly there is this reconstruction which needs to happen. But there is obviously potential. You talked about the young people who have this hunger to get on. They have this energy to create. And part of that has created what has happened in the forcing out of Sheikh Hasina. What do you see as the future of your country?
Bangladesh is an amazing country, amazingly creative country. Young people are full of creativity, full of enthusiasm. They want to do things at the global level, not just country level, in the global level. They compete at the global level. They excel in everything they do. So it's an amazing future for them. I mean, it's full of young people and full of energy, full of creative power. And if given a chance, give them the opportunity to take care of themselves, they can do wonderful things. And Bangladesh has achieved lots of good things in the past.
You are a man of vision. You had the vision to create the microfinance. You've been awarded a Nobel Prize, someone whose thoughts and actions reflect the good things that people internationally recognize as helpful to humanity and society. Where would you want to take Bangladesh from here? Do you feel that the West can come in and help with matters? Does its position in the world sort of geographically give it a sort of leaning towards, say, China, India? What do you see as Bangladesh's natural allies and natural development?
The idea that I always promote, this creative young people that we have in the country, they provide the leadership, creating a new world for the whole world. So they will be the frontier of the new move to create that. And that world will be a world of 3 zeros. 0 net carbon emission, 0 wealth concentration, and 0 unemployment. And they are ready to do. They are ready to create things which will be followed by everybody else. Bangladesh has created microcredits followed by the whole world. Bangladesh created the social business, now followed everywhere in the world. I'm here in Paris because of Olympic. We have given the idea to turn Olympic as a social business Olympic. So we brought that idea from Bangladesh to create this idea that we applied in Paris 2024. Then we are invited by Milano Cortina Olympics, Winter Olympic 2026, to bring this idea of social business Olympic. So Bangladesh has given leadership to the whole world in many different areas. Many different things are waiting for young people to get in and make this happen.
What you're describing sounds like a kind of social, excuse the word I'm going to use, nirvana, a kind of place where sort of everybody can find their place and get their chance.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that possible?
It's possible. They are as good as anybody else. They want to show their creative power, look at each other, compete with each other. They are not just Bangladeshi young people, they're the global young people. They feel that they can lead the global young people.
And do you see that being helped by investment from the West, investment from other partners? Who would those partners be, do you think?
Oh, there are lots of partners who helped in the process and so on, but they have to depend on themselves.
It has to be a Bangladesh-led issue.
And that's where we are emphasizing on. We have enough resources to build things for ourselves.
Muhammad Yunus, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Thank you, sir. It's a great time for your country and a great time for you. And thank you for sharing your thoughts with us here at France 24. We appreciate you coming into our studio, and we appreciate you sharing what you feel and think with us. It's been a pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Nobel Prize winner 2006, the man who invented microfinance, and as you hear, a very proud and happy this evening Bangladeshi citizen. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot.
We will bring you more on the events in Bangladesh as we go through the programme.